Hello everyone, my name is Sid Misra. I'm a product manager on the Amazon FSx team, and my reInvent talk today is about moving to managed file storage using Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. Today we'll cover three topics. First, why fully managed cloud file storage makes sense. Second, I'll give you an overview of the Amazon FSx for Windows File Server service. And finally, I'll walk you through some of the key features that I think make moving to managed file storage particularly compelling versus standing up your own file servers on premises or in the cloud. So, why fully managed cloud file storage? Files or unstructured data are really everywhere. Some common use cases include multi-site, high availability file shares that store documents and media content. There are also third-party business-critical applications requiring shared file storage, and file storage for Microsoft SQL Server databases. Companies typically use file storage for their Windows users and Windows-based applications, and typically you need to provision this as shared storage, either on premises or in cloud as network-attached storage, or NAS. Customers have to deploy and manage a file server that supported the SMB protocol. But storage needs are also continuously growing, so you have to continuously plan and provision hardware to meet growing capacity needs of your users and applications. So files are everywhere, and running your own shared file storage is not easy. So this is why, in a world where fully managed storage is available, it makes a lot of sense to move to managed storage. Firstly, fully managed on AWS enables you to move from traditional activities like planning, procuring, provisioning, and administering storage. And you can set and forget the storage and evolve it at your own pace using managed file storage. Second, you can leverage a range of cloud storage solutions to easily move to managed file storage without changes to your applications or workflows. Once you're in the cloud, scaling up the storage as your needs change is orders of magnitude faster, and you can benefit from other AWS services that operate seamlessly and securely with managed file storage. And thirdly, on AWS, you can choose from a range of price and performance options that best fit the needs of your workload, and you pay for resources only as long as you use them. Next up, I'll give you a brief overview of the Amazon FSx for Windows File Server service. Amazon FSx for Windows File Server is fully managed file storage in the cloud, built on the Windows Server operating system. Except now, because you don't have to stand up the storage yourself, you don't need to worry about provisioning hardware, and because we manage it, we take care of maintenance updates and backups. If you're managing NAS devices or file shares that you're hosting on file servers yourself, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server makes it very easy to point your applications or users to FSx. You don't have to make any changes to your workflows. And finally, we also offer an easy, fully managed way to migrate your data to AWS using AWS Data Sync. Now, probably something that almost everyone in the audience can relate to is that managing file servers is a lot of work. Before the cloud, you needed to manage the hardware, so you had to take care of planning the capacity, procuring and purchasing hardware, set up storage servers, volumes, detect failures and address them, and you also had to incur high upfront costs. Well, now that we have the cloud, you're still managing the software, even though the hardware piece is taken care of by AWS. So you still need to configure server software, you need to configure your file systems, you still need to apply updates, manage software licenses, manage backups, and monitor your security. With Amazon FSx, we take care of the burden of managing the storage for you and free you up to innovate on how to use the storage for your business. One of the big benefits of using fully managed storage on AWS is that you can quickly take advantage of the 150 plus services on AWS for your workflow, many of which offer seamless integration with Amazon FSx. There are too many to talk about, so and this slide doesn't really capture anywhere close to all of our AWS integrations. So I'll talk about two new integrations. In November, we launched an integration with AWS Backup, an enterprise-grade backup solution. We also announced recently a native integration with Amazon ECS, Elastic Container Service, for containerized workloads. And I'll touch more on AWS Backup later on in the presentation. And when I say Amazon FSx for Windows File Server lets you choose the right price performance option for you, what I mean is the ability to really customize your deployment. You can choose between SSD and HDD storage. You can decide with the click of a button while creating the file system if you want it in a single availability zone or if you need a highly available deployment that's replicated across multiple availability zones or AZs. You can select throughput independently from storage capacity, so you can select exactly how much of each you need for your workflow. You have a choice between inline snapshots that store previous versions of files on the file system or our fully managed file system backups that are stored on S3. And finally, you can take advantage of deduplication and compression to use the least amount of physical storage for your data. When moving from your existing NAS storage to the cloud, oftentimes the main concern is whether the cloud will check all of the boxes. Here I want to show you how fully featured Amazon FSx for Windows File Server is, across administration features, availability and durability, performance features, cost optimization features, and security and compliance features. So what are the use cases that customers tell us they're excited about bringing over to Amazon FSx for Windows File Server? Typically, they have tens or hundreds of terabytes or petabytes of data on their NAS that's on-prem, and it's typically split between user shares and application servers. So user shares are things like your F drive and G drive for individual user shares, or sometimes the team shares or department shares when you need shared storage for the finance department or marketing department. And you might have application servers, things like line of business applications that are production facing or internal corporate applications, web serving environments and content management. If you use a virtual desktop infrastructure, such as Amazon Workspaces or Amazon AppStream 2.0, you can use Amazon FSx for Windows File Server as the storage for them. Backup and disaster recovery. Within AWS, customers are using FSx for SQL backups, and many customers are using AWS for backups from their on-prem for disaster recovery. Many customers also use Amazon FSx as shared storage for their highly available SQL Server databases. And next, I'll share with you some stories of customers who moved to managed storage with Amazon FSx. Engie is a multinational utility company in Europe. With their previous provider, Engie experienced difficulty in managing and scaling their Windows file storage across 4,400 users spread across 30 sites across Europe. They wanted to avoid replacing aging hardware and move to a better file storage solution that was easy to scale as their users and overall file data grew. Engie easily moved their Windows storage to fully managed Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, enabling them to scale faster without additional hardware or changes to their existing environment. With the HDD storage option, Engie was able to reduce cost and increase performance for their end users. Epic is the largest e-discovery service worldwide. They were tasked with reducing costs for their e-discovery platform, which relies on shared storage to assist legal firms in electronic discovery to prepare for court cases. As their cloud-based platform grew, it became challenging to manage file storage themselves, and costs of storage were increasing. Using Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, Epic was able to replace several hundred terabytes of self-managed Windows file shares with fully managed SMB file storage. Amazon FSx provides a common file share between their various e-discovery platforms, including Relativity, Nuix, and AbbVie. Venerable is a financial services company, and they were tasked with a short time frame to depart from their data center as part of a divestiture of their annuity business from Voya Financial. They chose AWS to avoid the costs and overhead of building out a new data center and needing something with greater agility and easier management for their hundreds of users for processing financial data. Using Amazon Workspaces and Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, Venerable was able to migrate 6 months earlier than expected, resulting in significant savings. They migrated hundreds of users, leveraging fully managed desktop as a service and shared Windows file storage to provide users with fast and secure processing of large financial risk modeling files. So I just shared a few success stories during this presentation from a few of our customers, and I shared some quotes earlier too. But here's a quick glimpse of some of the customers using FSx today. Next, I'll discuss some key capabilities of managed file storage that I believe can move the needle for your business. Before I tell you about our deployment types, let me touch on the concept of availability zones. Availability zones, or AZs, are multiple isolated locations within each AWS region. They have redundant power, networking, and connectivity. When our service first launched, we offered a single AZ offering, which continuously monitors and addresses hardware failures and maintains a replicated copy of the data within the same availability zone. Our multi-AZ offering does all of that and also replicates the data in a different availability zone. So your workloads automatically fail over to the other AZ if there's any issue with the primary AZ. If you're running your own file servers, deploying a second replicated file server with redundant power, networking, and connectivity is not easy. But with Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, you can create a multi-AZ deployment by just selecting a radio button when you're creating the file system. Beyond automatically replicating your file system's data to ensure high durability, Amazon FSx provides you with two options to further protect the data stored in your file systems. Windows Shadow Copies enables your end users to easily undo file changes and compare file versions by restoring files to previous versions. And FSx Backups support your backup retention and compliance needs. Our FSx backups are fully managed, and you can automatically take backups daily and set a backup retention policy according to your needs. Our backups are stored in S3 and offer the 11 nines of durability that S3 is known for. Our backups are incremental, so we only store changes since your last backup. And using AWS Backup, you can ensure that all of your AWS resources are compliant in a consistent backup policy. FSx file system will likely not be the only component when you move your workloads to the cloud. It will be applications, databases, file storage, and other resources. So you'll be using RDS, FSx, EC2, EBS, and you'll want to be able to manage backups across all of these services. Now with the AWS Backup integration with FSx, you can orchestrate backups across all of your AWS resources in one place. Security is very important at AWS and is built into the product from the ground up. You can monitor and log FSx API calls for security audit purposes, and Amazon FSx has been certified for most industry standard compliances. Data is encrypted at rest using AWS Key Management Service, or KMS, or a customer managed key. And we encrypt the data in transit using SMB 3.0. Amazon FSx integrates with your organization's Active Directory natively, so it's just like a Windows server in your data center that's joined to your AD. We support all of the AWS infrastructure, such as VPC security groups and IAM access control. If you migrate to Amazon FSx, there is no need to modify your existing applications or user workflows. Use your existing self-managed Active Directory or AWS Managed AD, and the files and folder permissions just transfer over too. If you have human-friendly DNS names, DFS namespaces, file share names, they all just transfer over to FSx. If you're using file versioning or codas, you can bring those settings to Amazon FSx too. So it's really seamless to migrate to Amazon FSx. We integrate with your Active Directory, and you can use your existing ACLs, DNS names, and share configuration. And finally, you can simplify the actual migration process by using storage and data transfer services that are fully compatible with the features and functionality you need. The result of this seamless migration support leads customers to say it just works. And just like Amazon FSx is fully managed storage in the cloud, AWS Data Sync offers fully managed data migration. Data Sync establishes and manages a secure connection to your FSx file system. It's SMB to SMB, so it's the same protocol as on-premises. No need to refactor or re-architect. It's optimized to spin up multiple threads to efficiently copy data from your premises to AWS. You can also control whether you want to saturate the network link to AWS, or if you want Data Sync to limit the network bandwidth that's used for the migration job. Data Sync also offers secure movement of data and does integrity checks on migrated files. As we discussed earlier, Amazon FSx offers two storage types to meet your price performance optimization needs. We offer SSD storage, which offers very high IOPS and sub-millisecond latency for applications that are sensitive to latency or IOPS, such as storage for SQL Server deployments. And then there's HDD storage, which still offers single-digit latencies to disk, and very high throughput performance for workloads such as home directories, team shares, and media workloads and applications that don't need sub-millisecond latencies of SSD. So let me talk about our pricing. First of all, you can configure throughput separate from storage to meet your price performance needs. You can scale up storage capacity and toggle throughput up or down at any time after creating the file system. You can choose between single AZ and multi-AZ deployments, as we discussed earlier. And at 1.3 cents per gigabyte month for single AZ HDD storage, Amazon FSx has the industry's lowest cost fully managed file storage in the cloud. We also offer data deduplication on Amazon FSx. If you turn on deduplication, you can store your on-premises data in much less physical storage space. Typically, customers save 50 to 60% in storage costs using deduplication. And on this slide, I show the effective price per gigabyte that was stored in a non-deduplicated fashion before. Today, Amazon FSx is available in 19 regions around the world, and we regularly roll out to new regions and expect to be in all AWS regions very soon. So in summary, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server offers industry-standard SMB file shares, accessible from Windows, Linux, and macOS. We offer Microsoft AD integration natively, whether it's your on-premise Microsoft AD or AWS managed Microsoft AD. We offer fully managed backups and multi-AZ deployments. You can scale storage and change throughput at any time. You can increase the amount of storage capacity, and you can toggle throughput up or down. Migrating is simple and easy, and you can use AWS Data Sync to use a fully managed way to migrate to Amazon FSx. And finally, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server offers the industry's lowest cost file storage in the cloud for Windows workloads. I also wanted to call out some related sessions that you might find helpful. My colleague Prash will be leading the deep dive on Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, where you can learn a lot more detail about some of the features on Amazon FSx. Thank you very much. Please let us know if you have any questions. And I'd really appreciate if you'd complete this brief survey about this presentation. Thank you.